What's up, sports designers? Mike with Sports Templates here, and I am back to show you how to use this awesome new After Effects animated fabric template. So today I'm going to show you how to use this template to make this awesome Tigers design, and I'll show you all the awesome features that come with the package and show you what I mean by animated. So I'm just going to hit space here to make this play. You're going to be able to add your logos and designs to this fabric and watch this beautiful animation like it's waving in the wind or something like that. So you can do any colors and designs that you want to do. We're going to show you how to do that using the ease of After Effects and a linked Photoshop PSD file. So I'm going to pause that for now. Now before I get started, do me a favor, go down, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and you'll also find some useful information in the description. There'll be a link to the assets used for this design, the colors.
Hey there, Ali here from the editing room. And I just want to point out one more thing. You probably have your After Effect looking like this, and you're wondering where this panel that Mike is working on is. So to get it, you just need to go to Window up top here, and then just go to Essential Graphics, and you're gonna have it loaded up and ready for you to start working on it. One more thing is this template comes with 3 resolutions. So you can work on, you can see here, when you open it up, you're gonna get these 4 comps. So the first one is main, which is the full resolution, 1920 pixels by 1920 pixels. Then you got the square version, which is 180 by 180. And then you got HD, which is full HD, 180 by 192. And you got the story, which is the default resolution for TikToks and Reels and Instagram stories, which is 192 by 180. All right, back to Mike.
And also some information about a plugin that you need for this particular setup to work. There's a UVPass plugin. We covered it in the last tutorial we did for the animated helmet video, but we're going to cover it here as well. There will be a UVPass file included with the download of this package, and you just need to install it. And in order to install it, you just have to find the place to put it. So I'll show you that real quick. If you go into your computer and you go to the C drive, program files, Adobe, and then whichever version of After Effects you're using, I'm using 2023. Then go to support files, and then lastly plugins, and then you can just drop it here. So this is the file, the ft-UVPass 64. If you just drop it into this location, that's all you'll need to do to make the plugin work with the setup that we have going here. Okay, so let me show you how to install the UVPass plugin for PC, and then we'll show you how to do Mac in just a minute. So once you've downloaded the folder, there's going to be another folder inside there with the UVPass plugin, and I've moved mine over here to my downloads. If you open that up and then open that, there's Mac and Windows. There's some instructions for how to install plugins if you need them, or you can just refer to this video. So I'm going to open the Windows folder, and I can see the plugin there. Now I'm going to open another Windows Explorer, and I'm just going to go to my C drive, program files, Adobe, and then whichever version of After Effects you're using, I've got both installed for 2022 and 2023. So I'm going to go to the 2023 folder. I'm going to go to support files. I'm going to scroll down and go to plugins, and then you can see it's here. So if you're installing, you would just drag this over here and drop it. Now I've already got it installed, so I'm not going to do that again. But that's as easy as it is. And I'm just going to quickly pass it over to Ollie to show you how to do this. So here comes Ollie in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Ali here, taking over from Mike to show you how to do this on the Mac. And to do it on the Mac, you're going to get, after you download the ft-UVPass plugin, you can just double click on it. It's going to extract. Once you open that folder, there's 2 options. There's one for Windows and one for Mac. You go into the Mac one, and then you copy this ft-UVPass 64 plugin, and then you can go to applications. So inside of applications, you just need to search for After Effects. You can double click on it, and inside of After Effects, you can just go into the plugins folder, double click on it. You just click Command V to paste that plugin. It's going to ask for your password. Okay, and it's going to place it in here. Now, if you have a MacBook that's running an M1 or M2 Apple Silicon, you just need, before you start After Effects, you need to right click on it and get info. And in here, you need to make sure that you have open using Rosetta. So this is needed for the plugin to work because it's not optimized for M1 Silicon. So the trade-off is this will make your render times slower, but the 3D graphics wrapping will work inside of After Effects. So once we make sure that using Open Rosetta is activated, we can go back to our folder. And now if you open it up, you're gonna get this message that's saying you open it up in Rosetta, but you can see that all the textures are loaded up and it's ready to go. Now back to Mike to continue with this tutorial.
Okay, thanks for that, Ollie. So now we're ready to get started on how to use this. So when you download the package, there's a bunch of different files, and you just want to make sure that they're all located in the same place. In this case, I have them on my desktop, and the ones you're going to need are all right here for this particular file. So you've got the After Effects file, the animated fabric. You've got a PSD that's titled Add Your Design. And then there's this After Effects folder. This just contains a bunch of linked assets that make this whole thing work. And then there's also this UV folder, same thing, a bunch of linked assets that make the whole thing work. You don't need to do anything with either of these. Just make sure that all four of these are in the same location so that they can sort of talk to each other while we make all this work. And so if you open up the After Effects file, when you open it up, it's going to have the base setup that we have. It's just going to be blue with kind of your logo. Okay, so this is how it's going to look when you start. So let's get started as if we are starting from scratch to change that logo. I've got a color picked out here for the background. So I'm just going to click into this box here, this rectangle, to change the color. I'm going to paste it in. I just want this orange background for my Tiger's logo. And now to change the logo, I just go into that PSD, and you can drop anything in here that you want. Now we've got a bunch of different logos here that we use for some of the samples. I just want to turn that Tiger's one back on. I'm going to hit Control or Command S to save it. So now if we go back to After Effects, you'll see the logo update. And if you hit the space bar to play the animation, oh, sorry, let me get off there. Go back down here. Hit the space bar to play the animation. It might be a little choppy at first because it's loading up. You can see the green line is where things are kind of loading or rendering. So it's going to be a little choppy at first. If I pause it and I back up, all that green now is already loaded. So if I hit play, it's going to play nice and smooth. So this will create a nice looped animation. You can loop it infinitely and watch your logo. Just look how beautiful that is. Just watch your logo wave in the wind. So there's some other really cool features that you get with this. One of them is that you can do this in different sizes all at once. So you're going to get the After Effects file with 3 different size compositions all in it. We're looking at square layout now. We also have HD, so a widescreen like for YouTube, something like that. And that one will animate as well. And then you also have story size for presentation on your phone. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I just scrolled down on my mouse scroll wheel to zoom out a little bit. And that one will also animate. It's going to take a second to load, but so all the changes that you make, it changes everything simultaneously. And we just have these different sizes here so that you can export out one or all of them if you want to for different applications. You can see this thing's just trying to load a little bit. Sometimes After Effects just takes a minute to load everything up. And then when you hit play, it's good to go. So sometimes it just takes a little bit to load up, and then when you hit play, it's good to go. And it'll just, depending on your computer and how fast your memory is and all those things, it may take longer for these to render and allow you to preview, but you can also change the size. So if you wanted to go a little bit faster, this is already set to 25% quality. So if you change it to, or sorry, here it's a quarter. If you change it to like full, it's gonna be even more high resolution, and it's gonna take longer to render just for previews. This is all just for previews. I'm gonna stick with the square setup for now as we're working through this, and show you how to change a few different things as we work through the template. So you get the 3 composition size setups for export. You get the PSD, you get the assets folders, you get the plugin. If you want to zoom in, you can using your scroll wheel. I'm zooming in by scrolling up on the wheel, and you can see all the detail in here. We've got the tackle twill sort of texture on the patch with the depth. You've got the really nice realistic texture on the jersey fabric with all the highlights and shadows that you can see everywhere. And you can change all of this really easily. So let's look at a couple things that you can do. One of the things that you can do is, if you don't want a patch, right? So this is like a patch on the fabric. If you don't want that, you can turn that off. And you can actually, let's go back to main. You can turn that off, on and off, and you can actually put designs directly on the fabric itself. So if you go to fabric design here, and actually you may not have this view, so let me go back for a second. If you don't have this view, make sure you go up to window and turn on Essential Graphics, okay? And then you'll have this view where you can edit all the things that we are editing in here. So I turned my patch off. If I turn my fabric design on, you'll kind of get this layout. This kind of shows you all the different sizes, right? That's what these colored rectangles are for, to show you the different sizes. And if you want to, like you see here, we have the tiger logo. It's showing up actually directly on the fabric as opposed to as a patch. These are both linked to the same file, so the patch is just bigger, so it's going to cover up whatever you might have underneath it. But if you want to change this, you can actually go to add fabric design here, this one. If you double click that, it's going to open this up down here, and we'll just zoom in a bit. And from here, you can change this design so that it appears directly on the fabric within these. You want to stay within these grids here, right, for the different composition sizes that we have. But you can change the design to appear as it's printed directly on the fabric as opposed to somewhere else. And if you want to, rather than go into the PSD, you can just scale this here. So I'm holding Shift and clicking outward, clicking and dragging outward to kind of scale this up. Okay, and then if I go back, now we can see there it is, printed directly on the fabric. Let's stay on the main file. So if we go to our others, you can turn off the patch if you want to on the other sizes, and you can see the design that you placed on the fabric underneath. And you can, if you go to your fabric design, you can turn off the little helper guides, and let's just zoom in a little bit, and you can actually, let me resize this again. So I'm just clicking and dragging, clicking on the little node and holding Alt and Shift when I drag out to resize it proportionally. And then you can see, there it is. So the patch sits a little bit differently in a little bit different position, but when you turn the patch off, you've got just the design on the fabric. So if you wanted to print the design just on the fabric, you can do that and not have a patch. Or you could do any combination of things if you want to have a bigger design on the fabric and then a smaller patch or something like that, right? It can be done. I like the way it looks with the patch, so I'm gonna turn that back on. I'll turn off the fabric design. And we can talk about some of the other things that you can do with this template. So I think you just saw a sneak preview there. I turned on the texture visibility. And what that does is that gives you the option to use these gradients underneath. So there's a 4-color gradient and there's a 2-color gradient. The 4 colors come from the 4 corners, right? So top left, top right, bottom left, and you can change the colors. So you could really manipulate this any way you want, but it's really just a good way to add some depth. So let's just pretend we're using that same orange as a base for all of them. So that looks the same as if I turn, here we go, if I turn texture visibility on and off, it looks the same as my base color here. But now if I change these a little bit, so if I go to the top left color and maybe make this one just a little bit lighter, and then let's do same with the top right color. We'll make that one even more light. And then bottom left color, we'll make that one a little bit darker. And bottom right, I guess we can make that one a little bit lighter too. And now you see if we turn this off and on, you get a little bit more depth, right? You get a little bit more control. And when we animate it, right? So you can use the gradients. You can use the gradients to do that. Let's turn off the 4-color, and we'll do the same thing with like a 2-color. So if you wanted to do your orange on one side and then maybe your blue on the other, right, to get, you know, your team colors in there. And of course you can play with those, maybe lighten this one up a bit and lighten this one up just a bit, right? However you want to do it. Or you could also just do your orange darker on one side, lighter on the other. Maybe you don't want all 4 corners to be manipulated, but maybe just the 2. So there's a lot of cool things you can do to manipulate the colors and make it look even more realistic or have more depth. One thing you'll want to do, if you're using lighter colors, let's use like a light yellow background. Let's do it this way. We'll just turn off that and we'll make this like a light yellow. You may want to just play with your shadows on your patch a bit. So if you go to patch design, you can change the shadow opacity by just dragging this left and right. You can change the shadow size, right? The shadow distance. So you may want to just adjust those depending on how things are looking against your background color. But that's also something that you can do as you're working with this template. So as you can see, pretty easy to change everything. Let me change the background color back to how I wanted it. Actually, I'll just use the eyedropper and then select here from my library to get my orange color. So we've covered how to change the patch design, how to change the designs on the fabric, how to change the colors and the gradients. We've also got some different lighting options built into here. So there's an intense lighting where you can just kind of automatically change the intensity of the lighting by turning this off and on and then playing with these sliders here if you want to do that. Or you've got the dynamic lighting where you can also just turn that on and change the intensity there. So there's a lot of really cool features, as always, built into the Sports Templates products here that make it really easy for you to change your designs and make them look the way that you want them to look. So a lot of really cool stuff you can do. And there's another option here. If you go to the main tab, there's a contrast fix. And this just helps, again, with some color corrections, some color adjustments you may want to make. So if I turn it off, you can see everything just kind of gets a little bit darker, a little bit flatter. If you turn it back on, you just get a little bit more depth to it. So that's an optional feature, again, depending on the look that you may want to have. Okay, so now that we've got the design finished, let me just go ahead and show you how you can export this out into MP4s. So you can have videos to use for all the different applications you may need them for. So the easiest way that I have found to do it is to just open up this resolutions tab and click the top one, whichever one you want to export, right? And in this case, I'm going to show you how to export them all at once. So I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to click all three of those. And you need to make sure you have Adobe Media Encoder installed. You can get that on the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's the easiest way to export these. So have those all selected. Come up here to Composition and do Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. And that'll take a little bit to load up. It's pretty quick because these are not super massive files, so it'll take a minute to load up. And then you'll see as the items are ready, they'll start to pop into this queue here. And here they are. So here's my HD size, here's my square size, here's my story size. You can click here to tell it where you want to save them. So it doesn't really matter, right? I'll save them there. That's fine. And I'll call that one HD. So I'm not going to change the save location, but if you want to, you can. If you click here, you can change some of your export settings. So there's no audio on these, but if you want to include your audio, you would do that, or you would just turn that off. I always do use maximum render quality, and then I just hit OK. And so if I do that on all of these real quick, use maximum render quality, use maximum render quality. Okay. And then if you hit this little play button, it'll start to render them. And depending on the speed of your computer or your system settings, it may take a little bit longer or slower. These are taking just a few minutes each for me to render out. So after it goes for just a few seconds, you'll see it'll kind of give you an estimated time remaining, and that'll change as it goes, but they do go pretty quickly. These are, like I said, these are only taking me just a few minutes each. So once they're done, I'll have a video of every size ready to go and ready to use. So hopefully that makes sense and that's easy enough for you to do.
Hey there, Ali again here. Just wanted to mention one more thing, which is how to loop these animations. So once you export it as Mike have shown you, you can just pick whatever resolution you want. So for now, I'm just going to pick the square one. I can pick it and drag it into a new After Effects file. I just created a new file here, and I would just drop it on, it's going to be added here. You just drag it and drop it into the timeline. And once you drop it, it's just gonna play for however long this video is, which is in this case 5 seconds. So you can see now it's playing, it's looping seamlessly. But if you need to make it loop for longer, what you can do is go to composition and then composition settings, and here you can see the duration. So let's say, so now it says 5 seconds. Let's say I want it to loop 3 times, which is 15 seconds, which is the perfect time for like an Instagram story. So I'll put 15 in here and click OK. And now if I slide this at the bottom here with the timeline, you can see that now I have 15 seconds, and I can just grab this first one and then copy and Control C, Control V, and I got another layer. Just need to line it up, and then I'll do that again, and I'll line it up at the end as well. So if I click the space bar now, it's just gonna start playing, and as you can see, it transitions from one to the other. It's seamless, and it doesn't even look like it's another video is playing. And even the last and the final file itself is gonna be looping as well. And from here, you can just do an export, just like how Mike showed you before, and you get your loop to yield for however long you want it. All right, back to Mike.
So really cool product, really easy to use, especially even if you've never used After Effects before. You can control the patch design using Photoshop just like a smart object in the normal sports templates products. And then here in After Effects, it's really easy to just change colors, change the gradients in the lighting if you want to, change the size of the design that's printed on the fabric, whatever you want to do. So really cool and really easy to use, and really hope you like it. These are a really nice way to add just some more dynamics to your presentations. So head over to sportstemplates.net to pick this one up, and as always, please head down below, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and thank you so much, guys. We will see you again next time.